Hi, everybody. This is Roy. Welcome to another Prog Report podcast interview. Rob Reed, known for his work with Magenta, has resurrected his original band called Cyan for a brand new album called For King and Country, which comes out on September 24th. I caught up with Rob to talk about the new album and more. Check it out. So good to have you on the show, man. Have you been, what's been going on with you lately? Are you doing okay with, lockdown, quarantine? How's your year and a
Oh,
half been?
don't talk about it. Doing all right. I think it's just bonkers, really. And I think we both got bonkers governments. So I think we're in uncharted territory, and it's a free for all over here. It's back to normal. I say normal inverted commas. So gigs are happening. So it's a bit of a shocker, really. We're all back into gig mode. I'm not sure how long that's going to last, but so it's after taking a year and a half of being lazy, now it's like we've got to start learning stuff and rehearsing and going for it, really. So it's just getting back into all that. And the first show is this Cyan show we've got in 6 weeks' time. So that's our first gig for a year and a half or 2 years, really. So
And where is the show going to be?
that's in Summer's End. It's like a regular festival they have over here. They have Winter's End and Summer's End, and this is the sort of first one of these back on. And yeah, we got like a couple of days rehearsal, and we're into the gig, and so it's going to be a real sort of shock to the system, I think.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. So obviously we want to talk about Cyan. That's the
Yeah,
main thing.
yeah,
Where you have a album called For King and Country comes out September 24th
yeah,
on your own label and everything.
yeah,
For people that aren't aware, right, this
yeah,
is a project that you're revisiting after decades.
yeah.
But let you explain the whole story and history behind it.
Well, Cyan is basically is the sort of story of how Magenta came around. Really, it's Cyan was a band I was in school, and in the sixth form, in the sort of last year of being in school, and we formed a band, recorded a demo in a local studio, 4 tracks on a cassette, sent it around, sent it to Nick Barrett of Pendragon, who I was a fan of.
Oh,
He
okay.
loved it. And then I sort of forgot about it, really, and got on with everything. And then about 2 years later, a Dutch record company said, "I've got this cassette. Have you got an album to go with it?" And I was like, yes, not. And everyone moved away in the band, and I was left to do it on my own, really, to sing it and do it with drum machines, and put the record out. It did really well, and then we did another 2 albums. I got a guy in to sing it, and then on the fourth album, what was going to be the fourth Cyan album, uh, Christina and myself, um, after doing like a pop thing alongside the prog thing, we had enough, and I thought, what would it sound like if she sang it? And she sang it, and it sounded amazing, and Magenta was formed. But so Cyan was parked, really. It was parked, left alone. We'd made these 3 albums, and I just went on to do 20 years of Magenta. But I always loved the material, especially on the first record. And it was done with like a drum machine or me singing it. And I just thought, with everything I've learned and all the technology I got, wouldn't it sound amazing if I was to re-record it? And I started doing it, put the drums down, but it sat on my hard drive because I couldn't find anybody to sing it. And then
Right.
I met Pete Jones, of Tiger Moth Tales and Camel and everything else he'd done. He was on our label. We got a label set up, and we look after him. And it was the obvious thing to get him to sing it, but I sort of
Mhm.
put it off because he was so busy, and I thought, oh, I didn't want to add to it. But then someone said, give him a go. He sung 1 track. I thought, my God, it sounds amazing. And that's how the record, all of a sudden, it was like, this became a priority. And then Luke Matchin, who plays with me in Kiama, and Luke plays in his own band, Machine, and he plays with Francis Dunnery, and he's a stunning guitarist. And again, I said to him, what, do you fancy playing on it? Do all the guitars for me? He said, yeah, done it. Went up another level, and it just kept on going up. And we've made this record, really. And I think it's amazing. And we put out this 15-minute promo, which has sort of captured people's imagination, and it's getting great reviews. So far, so good.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. I mean, all of it, the production, like you said, I mean, I actually hadn't heard the original version, so I'm not
Oh,
sure
don't.
exactly what's different or not. But I'll
Oh,
ask you about that. But just by itself, I mean, The Sorcerer, which is the 50-minute opening track you're talking about,
yeah.
this is a stunning piece of
Hmm.
work. I mean, it's just amazing. And Pete is such an amazing vocalist. He just doesn't get enough recognition
No,
for his voice in the prog world or in music world in general. He's one of the
yeah.
best singers in the world. I think it's
Yes.
just incredible.
Oh, he's the thing is he's one of the best singers, one of the best writers, one of the best guitarists, one of the best
Yeah,
keyboard players,
that's right.
best bassist,
Like, right. Let's not just say
saxophonist.
singer. He can play it all.
Everything he
And
does, he plays every instrument in the band better than any of us. But his voice, and as I said, my argument all along with the prog scene really is that people forget about the singer. They think, oh, as long as we got the guitars and everything's going a million miles an hour and different time signatures, we can hide the dodgy singer, and you can't. What makes it cross over and to have mass appeal, well, is a good singer. And for me, the singer is everything. Genesis, Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Dave Gilmour, and Pink Floyd. You got great singers, and that's what took them above, all the other bands. And that's the thing to find, and that's why I struggled with this Cyan album because I couldn't find a singer good enough. And people were saying, "Oh, so and so's a great singer," and I was like, "Yeah, no, not really." But Pete, the moment he sings it, and I think what's really good in this, he is really put in this melodic, lush landscape. His voice is, so it really works, and as soon as I heard it, and everyone who's heard it just said, "Wow," it's and the song. I said the songs are written. Some of these songs are written like 30, 40 years ago when I didn't care. I didn't care what people thought about it, and I was just writing for myself. And I
right.
think that's I've lost a bit of that really because I'm a bit jaded and a bit battered by the old industry over 30 or 40 years. But it comes through on it, and the melodies are really strong, and it's like such a positive record that it works really. And what was really nice was, it's like it is revisiting it, but it's completely reworked. The first song, the original version of it, is like 8 minutes long. Now it's 15 minutes long because I've rewritten parts and added to it, and it's been really nice to sort of revisit it and think, oh, that part could have been a bit better, or that's a bit dodgy, and everything has had a chance to sort of develop. And as soon as I heard Pete singing it, I thought, oh, it's got to have more singing here, and I can do this more guitars. So it's all it's almost like a new record completely. And not many people have heard the original, but those who have can't believe how different it is really.
When you first had the idea to revisit it,
Yeah.
what brought that on? I mean, is it something that you stumbled upon listening to again by accident, or was it an idea you've been really thinking about for a long time?
I've always had the sort of I've had them there, and every so often I would play the original album. I'd play a bit of it, and I got such a fondness for those tracks. And I, until Pete sang it wasn't really a major thing to do. Really, it's always been there, and I've been picking away at it. And I did try various singers on it, and I'd do a bit of work on it, then I'd go away because I was so busy with the Magenta stuff and everything else. But they say Pete singing on it transformed it, and it all came together then, and but I just love hearing the tracks with all my new, when I did it originally, it was on a cassette based 8 track with a dodgy drum machine. I could hardly play the guitar. My singing is dreadful on it. And now it's like, whoa, it's like it goes through a filter, and it's like widescreen now, it's like 4K
Fine.
widescreen compared to this little VHS. So
That's great. I mean, there's a lot of different styles on it too. It's not, the first song is sort of epic symphonic
mm,
prog type of thing, but then the song right after is "Call Me," which is
mm,
very much almost like a pop song,
yeah,
and very memorable. A great hook.
yeah,
"I
yeah,
Defied the Sun" is also like that. Just really
yeah.
great chorus. I mean, is that that where your head was back then? Was writing, or are these songs newly changed to sound that way for today?
No, no, they were written that because at the time, you know, well, it's still the same now. I love prog as in the classic sort of Genesis, Yes, Renaissance. That's my prog really. I don't really listen to much modern prog, and I don't listen to, out of my 100% of listening to music outside doing it, I listen to about 10% prog and 90% not prog. I listen to ABBA and ELO and Supertramp and modern stuff. I don't, because I'm doing it all day. The last thing I want to hear when I come home is a Genesis record or a Pink Floyd record. It's like I like to put on like the two new Bruce Springsteen albums. I love them because they're great songs, and I've always been a songwriter. In the end, it's about the song, and to be honest, I don't know if it's cheating or whatever, but it's still the same with Genesis and with Pink Floyd. They both, especially Genesis, they would take like 3 or 4 pop songs. You listen to Supper's Ready, it's basically 6 songs sewn together. Do you know what I mean? And each of them are like these mini pop songs. And that's all I do is I write the song first, then I think, right, let's make a big widdly middle section on it, and let's have a big guitar solo on the end. And all of a sudden you've got an epic. But at the heart of it, you've got a verse, a bridge which builds up, and then it falls into the chorus. It's just classic songwriting. And that's where I come from. And then going back to those songs like Call Me and ID by the Sun, you got a verse, then you got a bridge, and then it falls into a chorus, and it comes around a second time, and you can sing along to it. And then in the middle, you've got all the big guitar solos. It's just classic songwriting. I think I can't avoid that, and I think that's why it works so well, and that's why Magenta, to some extent, lands, because it's a songwriting thing. It's not, it's just a load of songs sewn together into an epic. And that's rather than going, let's make like a 15-minute track where you go everywhere but nowhere twice. Do you know what I mean? Because when I listen to so much stuff, and if I produce other people's stuff, I go, where's the hook? Where can I sing along? Where's the bit which comes around the second time?
You still gotta have a chorus somewhere in there, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. And some of my favorite prog bands are really the ones where I get the shreddy stuff in there, but then they throw in there a 4-minute ballad or a pop song or something in the middle, and so that's part of the fun of it, is that you get this kind of mix of stuff. If it's all like you're saying, just go 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 go, the whole time, eventually you can drone out sometimes. So
you get lost in it, and those 3 bands I mentioned, ELO, ABBA, and Supertramp, they're the kings. The kings of writing the hooks.
Yeah.
For me, it's like the production again, and all the little bits and bobs. They're like mini prog epics, some of the ELO stuff in particular. And that's
ELO's always been, people that have heard the podcast know, that's one of my all-time favorite bands. And I'm a huge Jeff Lynne fan, but I equally love Supertramp, and every time I go back and I listen to like an album like Crime of the Century, I'm blown away again every time I listen to it. It's such an insanely good album. It's crazy.
It's because the songs are so good. If you've got a good song, you can get away with murder in the production, go different places, but it's got to come back to the song, and that's the hard bit. That's the hard bit, just to write those memorable hooks. And all the Genesis stuff, they're all hooks. Right back to the early stuff, there was always a hook in there. I Know What I Like and stuff. It's a hook in there. Ripples, Trick of the Tail. It's just full of great songs. And that's what makes the bands cross over. Bands like Marillion, because they can write a good hook. And any band that we sign to the label or look after, and they send me stuff, and I go, where's the hook? I'm always saying, I'll say to them, just cut in a hook. I can, you got the verse, you tell the story. Where's the hook? Just cut it in, But but that's the art of it. You can start with that. That's the basis. As long as you got that, you can get away with it. And that's what, when I was doing the Cyan stuff, I was like a massive It Bites fan, and Genesis and It Bites were my 2 big bands, and they were pop prog really. So that's what comes across on the record.
Yeah. What was something that maybe surprised you when going back and saying, okay, I'm going to start recording this? Was there, you know, lyrics that you thought were funny, or sounds that were funny, or something more difficult to play? I mean, was there something in there that you were like, oh, I don't remember this?
Well, well, yeah. The thing is, it was lots of, again. It's the innocence of it, of the writing. I thought was really good. It was some basic stuff in it. I didn't know about the pop format and stuff, and the lyrics, which my brother wrote a lot of the lyrics. Again, they were about wizards and all that kind of stuff, and Lord of the Rings and Merlin. And now you're like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't do it. And when I finished this album, I was really worried of what people would think, and especially of the Sorcerer track. I thought this is either going to bomb and people are going to go, oh, this is everything I hate about prog, or they're going to say, like me, this is everything I love about prog, but was scared to admit it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And when it came, and that's what come up, people were saying, below the video were saying, oh, it's great to hear this style. And I think it's been lost a bit. I think I look around and I think I look at the sort of landscape of the bands that are being punted in magazines and stuff, and I think a lot of it, I go, wow, this is not what I think as prog. I know there's a big argument, what is prog, but it's like, I think that's heavy metal or that's indie. Prog was always about this melodic stuff that would take you on a journey and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of it.
That's a long argument. I mean,
It
there's a
is.
lot of bands that now adopt the word prog. Prog 10 years ago was like a bad word. No one wanted
Oh,
to be called
stinking.
prog, and now everybody wants to be called prog
Everyone's jumping
because
on, absolutely. Because there's money in it.
it's an audience, and
There's an
you can
audience
sell some
with
records.
with a disposable income, and everyone's jumping in, and I think, like, oh, and that's why I think I love the fact that this record's coming out, and I love the reaction, because all those bands, especially, there's a load of sort of bands that make this kind of music, and they're all getting pushed out of the way by this sort of deluge of bands which are not true to what I like more than anything. Is, everyone can say, what is truly progressive, or that boring argument. But I just love great songs and the colors and the production and all that kind of cinematic stuff, that you had on a Genesis record or a Camel record. And that's what I love, and that's what I want to hear. And I think this record is doing what I hoped it did, is connecting to people who are going, yeah, let's bring it on. Let's have this color.
Yeah, and sometimes just be unapologetic about it, right? And just say, hey,
Oh,
we're doing a 50-minute song with synth solos about sorcerers, and
yes, have it.
have at
And
it.
oh
Let's
no,
do it.
it is, and I
No,
think,
it's a great song, and I love the ending. It kind of has
over the
a
top.
great lifting
Yeah,
ending at the end, like
yeah,
telling a story. It's fantastic. I
yeah,
really hope people give it a chance and check it out.
yeah.
It's really one of my favorite songs right now. What else are you working on? You got a number of projects, Magenta. We haven't
Oh,
heard from in a bit. I know something might be happening there. What's going on
yeah.
that you can tell us?
Oh, there's always stuff. I look at my sort of schedule for the next 6 months, and I'm like, how am I going to do all this kind of stuff? But I say the Cyan album, that's coming out, as I said, next month. That's all done. It's been pressed. So I move on now. My next one is the solo albums, the Sanctuary series of solo albums I do. We got there's two of them coming out, because it was too long. It was like about 100 minutes, the whole thing. And I thought, what would be really nice is to release one, have a 12-week gap, and then release part two. You wouldn't have to wait. You could really get into the first half, enjoy it, and then release the second one. So that'll be coming out in the next couple of months. So that's that sort of style. And then Magenta, we've just been in Real World Studio, Peter Gabriel's studio in Bath, and it's a bit of a mad story where we were left some money by a fan. One of our sort of Magenta hardcore fans comes to all the gigs. He died last year, and it was really sad. But he left us some money to go and to make a record, basically. And
Wow,
it was so amazing.
that is wild.
And so we've gone and we've written like 3 tracks, an EP, and we went in and we had the sort of residential studio in Peter Gabriel's place, set up like a band, done these tracks and they've come out really good, and we're going to release like an EP and to sort of commemorate this guy. And it was just an amazing thing, and it shows. And I think sometimes bands, they're always moaning, and they moan about fans or what, this and that, and that kind of stuff. But we don't realize how much the music means to people. And this really showed to us how much it meant to him, the band, you know, and that's it was just amazing. And I think we're really lucky, and I'm really lucky when I look at being able to do music full time, you know, and I look at that and I just think it's just amazing that that the fans are prepared to do, you know, for me it's almost like a sort of contract between the fans and myself, that they support me and I will put everything financially that they give me back into making a record, to make the best records I can, really. And it's just a two-way thing, and I'm really lucky with it. And I say you battle to keep the quality. You don't scrimp on recording, the production values, videos, everything, because they're giving me the hard-earned cash, and then I'm giving them all my time and everything I can do. And it's so lucky to be in that position. And it rarely happens outside the prog circuit, you know, and that's where we're lucky with the fans,
yeah.
You know. So
no, it's very much a very community driven
yeah.
thing. You have a lot of bands, you know, Big Train has their group, the Passengers that they call that support them, and you got all these other, the Marillion people that follow them from country to country on the weekends that they do. And it's a great thing when you pick your sort of avenue, the bands you like, and everybody's able to produce amazing music. It's an amazing time as a prog fan, really. I mean, so much good music's coming out, it's hard to keep up with it all. I mean, how much of it do you listen to from newer bands? Do you even have time to keep up?
I don't. I this is it. I think, as I said, it's nice. I clean my musical palette when I come home by playing other stuff. So I don't really listen to it. You know, a video might come up on YouTube and I'll hear something, you know, I go, oh yeah, that's really good, whatever. But and also I perhaps I don't want to be influenced by anything as well. I don't like to sort of see or hear, so that I just do my own thing and all that kind of stuff. But there are some great, you know, there are some really good stuff, and we run this label, this White Knight label, which looks after Pete and all his solo stuff, and we sign a couple of bands here and there, and that's really nice to do as well, because we sort of A&R it and go out looking for melodic bands, and we give them the most ridiculously artist-based record deal as well. It's one of the worst sort of financially set up deals ever, because it's so in the band's favor. Because I'm so sick of seeing bands spending all their hard-earned cash making a record. They go to a record label, the record label does hardly anything, and only gives them like 10% of the record sales. It's insane, because they don't really do much work, the record label. So we switch it completely around the opposite way. We look after the band, we help them with the pressing, the videos, all this kind of stuff, make sure it's all done to the highest thing, and we give them 90% of the record sales. And I just,
that's amazing.
You know, it's just I like doing it because it sticks two fingers up to all the band, the labels that screw the bands. So, but I'm lucky. I say I run my own label, so and that's good and bad, really. You know.
Right. Well, it's a lot of work. How did you hook up with Pete? I wonder. I meant to ask you about that. Where did you?
Well, it was through the label. Somebody sent me. Oh God! Somebody sent me a demo of Pete's album. I don't know how we got hold of it, and he just sent me a demo of the first album he made, the solo album, and he had no connection with any prog things at this point. He'd done like a talent show in the UK, one of these pop idol things.
Yeah.
He did that, and he was on TV and stuff, and I vaguely remembered it. And he sent me this guy had just sent me, so listen to this. I came across this album, and I played it, and I was like, my God, this guy's voice is stunning. And I said, right, okay, we look after him, we'll put him on the label, and we'll guide him, and I sort of met up with him, and sort of, and he had no idea that there was a progressive rock scene, nothing whatsoever. He done his sort of pop stuff and all this kind of thing, but he loved like Phil Collins and Steve Hackett, and he made this record in his house, and I said, Pete, there's a whole world of you that would love and eat this stuff up, and we pressed the first record, and people were just blown because of the voice. And we shot a couple of videos, and then he did a couple of gigs, and then people were just blown away by it. And so it's been like about 8 years, I think about 7 or 8 years really, of steering him through the pitfalls of trying to help him with it and guide him. And we always have like, not arguments, we always have discussions about his record. When he sends me the record, he'll say, "Oh, you're gonna love this record. I'll pop on track 7 because I know you'll hate it." He's got like a really strange, well, not a strange, he's got his own sense of humor on some of his records, and I'm like, I don't do humor on records, because he loves like Steve Hackett, where Steve Hackett would do like Spectrum Mornings album, and you play it along, and then you'd have this crazy track on it. Steve Hackett always put a really weird comical track on it, and I go, "Oh no, you can't do that." So me and Pete would have loads of arguments. We'd go, "You can't do that, Pete. You're spoiling the record." It's my record. And I go, "Oh." So we just sort of build up this sort of relationship. And he's guested on a couple of shows with us with Magenta. He'll turn up and play sax and steal the show normally, and then say I was just forced into giving him a try singing the Cyan stuff, really. Because he does so much stuff, and from a label point of view, I'm trying to get him not to sing on everyone's records, because he's so nice, and he'll say yes to everyone. He go, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." And I'm saying like, "Pete, your vocal is everything to you," and this is why you very rarely see like Steve Hogarth or Stephen Wilson singing on someone else's record. They might play piano or guitar or whatever, and it's okay to play guitar on a million bands records, on various records, but the vocal is so special. I think I'm like, don't share it, keep it, right? Because the more you share it, you lose, you sort of dilute it. So at the moment, I'm trying to stop him, and he won't say no. He's so kind to him. Yeah, I'm like, blame the record label, tell them you can't do it, and so trying to rein it in.
I'll tell you, he did that track for us on the Prog from Home concert we did a year ago, and I have to tell you, that was the video from all the 3 hours of performances we had that got by far the most response from everybody. That either they weren't familiar with him or whatever, they all went, "Oh my goodness, that had me in tears, that was amazing." It really was stunning.
Oh, he's just, because we shot like a live, we'll do it. Him playing a grand piano basically for 40 minutes. Did it. We filmed it, and I was in the room filming it, and it's just effortless. I was watching his hands. I was thinking, I don't know what chords you're playing, but it was amazing, and it was flawless. There wasn't a mistake, nor on the piano, nor in the voice. And he was like, "Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much." And he's so gifted, so gifted.
That's amazing.
So, but then with the Cyan project, I'm looking forward to thinking, right, I write, Pete writes, Luke writes. So it would be really nice to do a record where we're all writing as well.
Do you think there'll be a follow-up that's sort of fresh with some new material?
Yeah.
Is that the plan?
Well, I think so. I've got another 2 Cyan albums that we haven't touched, sort of thing, but were done, back in the day, and there's some great songs on there. I thinking, God, with this lineup, it would sound amazing. I was really finding my feet as a songwriter. So they are sitting there, but also I've spoken to Pete and to Luke, and I said, look, it'd be great if you could write a couple of tracks each and sort of cross-pollinate the tracks.
It's a cool idea.
And do something completely fresh. And I think, it's just fitting it in the schedule. But right. This live show, that's what's frightening. We're all like panicking because we've got like 6 weeks and we've got to play the whole album basically.
Well, good luck. It's exciting to even play a show. It's got to be great for you guys. Yes. So Cyan for King and Country comes out September 24th. What's the website we can send people to?
I think that the easiest way to get it is on the Magenta shop, which is well, it's not Magenta. It's the Tiger Moth. So it's www.tigermothshop.co.uk. That's the way you go to. You go to tigermothshop.co.uk. And it's got everything on it, all the Magenta, cyan, sort of stuff.
Cool. Got to check out that record, pick it up. Thank you, sir. Good catching up. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks to Rob for the interview. The Cyan album For King and Country is out on September 24th. We're going to play a little bit from the opening track, The Sorcerer, on the way out. For upcoming news, interviews, reviews, and more, please check ProgReport.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can download the podcast on all our podcast networks. And for special episodes, check out YouTube. See you soon. Thanks.
Out of the night comes the sorcerer. His eyes are glowing bright. Looking for his victims to join his army of the night. Look into his eyes, what a magical sight. The mist is starting to clear, his arms are open wide. Come inside and join me, let your imagination fly. Into his cloak of darkness, his arms are closing in. Close your eyes and imagine all your dreams come true.